Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just 1 minute. Narayanam Namaskritya Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. 55. Okay, I can't read that. Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yas Chasmi Tatvataha Tato Mam Tatvato Gatva Vishate Tad Anantaram Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyas Chasmi Tatvataha Tatomam Abhi Tatvato Gatva Vishate Tad Anantaram Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyas Chasmi Tatvataha Tatomam Tatvato Gatva Vishate Tad Anantaram Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyas Chasmi Tatvataha Tatomam Tatvato Gatva Vishate Tad Anantaram Bhaktya, by pure devotional service. Mam, me. Abhijanati, one can know. Yavan, as much as. Cha, asmi, as I am. Tatvata, in truth. Tata, thereafter. Mam, me. Tatvata, in truth. Gyatva, knowing. Vishate, he enters. Tat anantaram, thereafter. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is what's actually important. Prabhupada said anyone can translate. Even when they were first trying to get the Bhagavad-Gita, sometimes he just said, use somebody else's translation for the verse. Said, but the purports have to be his. Because these Mayavadis, they're like magicians, you know, they can make you something disappear when you're looking right at it. So they so-called comment on the Bhagavad-Gita, the same translations, but they think Krishna's not there and it's something else. Then I was thinking Krishna's even the greater magician, he's Yogeshwara, because they can read the Bhagavad-Gita without finding Krishna, you know, without knowing it's about bhakti, you know, and it's repeated so many times. So it's amazing how Krishna can bewilder according to someone's desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden, as already stated in Bhagavad-Gita 7:25. Naham prakasha sarvasya. He's not revealed to everyone, even if they see him. So that's, we saw that when Krishna was entering the wrestling arena. Most people saw something other than the Supreme Lord. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished, even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. One should not mistakenly think that the word vishate enters into me supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No, vishate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service to him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. And then you can't see it, right? Because the tree is also green. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal identity like the aquatics in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depth. They're always finding new ones, the deeper they can go. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth. This is stated in the 11th chapter. Only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta stage of freedom from material conceptions, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Lord, automatically the Brahma Bhuta stage develops, and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense gratification disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more and more attached to the service of the Lord, and by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra 4.1.12 confirms this, aprayanat tatrapihi drishtam. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from the material concept of life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam dadati swa padantikam. Jai. Vanchakalpa trubhyascha, kripa sindhubhyeva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, thank you for coming. Sorry about the confusion. Maybe I read it wrong, but I've been making so many, those kind of things lately because of this treatment I'm going through. Body stays more or less the same, but mind is completely crazy. So, this principle, I remember long ago, Achyutananda had an article in the Back to Godhead about how many times Krishna says this, and but that only by devotional service. He repeats it again and again. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam, Devananda Pandit, he was a Bhagavatam speaker, but he wasn't a devotee. So he was, I guess, Mayavadi. He's speaking Bhagavatam without knowledge of bhakti. So his followers chastised Srivas, and then Lord Chaitanya chastised him publicly. He was on the road and he just started shouting, "You fool, you rascal, you're reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, but you don't know anything about it," and all that, really heavy. And then somehow or other, Krishna had mercy on him because Lord Chaitanya's chastisement, he doesn't chastise very many people, right? To show that kind of anger, something happened. So then he saw Vakashwar Pandit in the kirtan, and he was fascinated by the ecstasy and the dancing. And so he went to kind of help him because, he would fall over backwards and stuff, so he would stand behind him and catch him and then wipe the dust off his face. And he started associating with Vakashwar Pandit. So that meant a lot of kirtan, because he's the one that said he wanted Gandharvas so he could have 72 hours, a non-stop kirtan, because he could dance that long. And of course he must have been preaching also. So finally he approached Lord Chaitanya and he said, what is this Srimad Bhagavatam about anyway? He realized he didn't understand. And then Lord Chaitanya told him, bhakti, only bhakti, nothing else. So we've been reading Lord Chaitanya, after Sarvabhauma thought he didn't understand the Vedanta Sutra. So Lord Chaitanya said the sutras are clear, but they're not clear to very many people. They're codes. So codes, you have to be a code breaker to read a code, right? It's like secrets. So only, very highly educated brahmanas could understand. And then Shankaracharya, he just interpreted it all wrong to confuse everybody, expertly. Because he's Lord Shiva and he's under the order of Krishna to do that. So Sarvabhauma is explaining all that kind of stuff, So Lord Chaitanya, he goes on and on and on, it's a very long section. Just again and again, it's only bhakti, only bhakti, only bhakti, only Krishna. Krishna is the goal. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Veda, I'm the goal of the Vedas, right? That I am the goal of the Vedas. Now, we take it that Krishna knows the language and, means what he says. They're saying he doesn't mean what he said, he's saying something different. But that's not Krishna. He's not a diplomat. He could be, but in this case, he's not being diplomatic. He's telling it as it is. So right from the very beginning, chapter 6, the last verse, one who's always engaged in my service, always thinking of me, that's the best yogi. Again and again, we could go over so many places. So Lord Chaitanya just kept hammering away at Sarvabhauma. Your arguments are completely wrong, and individuality is eternal, and all these things, again and again and again. Then Sarvabhauma was impressed, and he asked him to explain the, what's that sloka? What's the sloka he asked him? Huh? Atmaram verse, yeah. So Lord Chaitanya said, well, I don't really know very much. Let's see what you can say. So Sarvabhauma, he explained it in 9 ways or something, which no one else in the world could do. You know, so many different ways of looking at it. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, now I'll see what I can say. So he explained it in 21 different ways. And that's when Sarvabhauma became convinced that he's God. He's only God can talk like that. And the way he did it is, first he just took every word and gave all the different dictionary meanings. You know, like if you look in a dictionary, you find usually more than one meaning of a word, and sometimes they're very contradictory, depending on how you're using it. So, but everything concludes bhakti-yoga, service to Krishna. Krishna is the goal, Krishna is everything. When he explained every word, you know, and put it together in so many different ways with all the different meanings of the words. So Sarvabhauma, then he became convinced, and he started teaching bhakti. You know, was embarrassed that he was previously said just making noise like a jackass, just whatever, and he started, because all his knowledge of the scriptures, all of a sudden he had a whole new vision of it. That's the thing, Krishna uncovered him. He was being covered over because somehow or other that's the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And when someone in his position gets converted, of course, it influences the world very much. You know, the biggest Mayavadi teacher, sannyasis, would come to him. He was offering to help Lord Chaitanya understand, you know, because sannyasis came to him from all over to study under him. He was so brilliant. And actually, you know, he's a devotee. So then he woke up and started acting like a devotee, and everybody was shocked. So many, many people started coming to Lord Chaitanya. Then later, when he was with Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana Goswami asked him to explain, you know, I heard that you explained this verse to Sarvabhauma, and could you please tell me what you said? And what did Lord Chaitanya say?
He couldn't remember.
Yeah. Scholars. I don't remember what I said, he said, but I'll try. So he explained it in 64 ways, 61 or 64, 61 ways. And the same thing, he took every word apart and mixed them, you know, and every conclusion he came to was that it's Krishna and bhakti, service, devotional service to Krishna. And one of, who was that sannyasi in Benares? What was his name? Prakashananda Saraswati, yeah. So he was listening. One of his main disciples had said was equally to him in scholarship and everything. Heard it, and then he surrendered. He was totally amazed. So then, you know, they started preaching, and you know, when people like that change, it's a very big thing. Like with Narottam Das Thakur, after he settled down in his village, first he started preaching and people were coming to him, and then there were 2 boys he saw when he was out with Ramachandra, and they were, you know, sons of a big Brahmin, and they were actually taking goats to the slaughterhouse or something. And, you know, because they're worshiping Lord Shiva, and they think that's how to worship. Not quite right, but even in Bangkok there's one Shiva Murti on the corner, and it says, offer only fruits and vegetables, it's only vegetarian. They at least know. But anyway, so they started talking really loud about how this was wrong, and the boys became fascinated and started asking questions, and then they preached to him, and they changed completely, and they just moved in with him. He told them, just let the goats go. And later their father was very, very angry. He said, you're embarrassing the whole family. We're famous scholars and whatever they were. And now, you become a Vaishnava, and you're getting initiated by a Sudra. Because Narottam, by birth and definition in Bengal anyway, was a Sudra. Even though his father was a king, they came from a caste of accountants or something and considered a Sudra. The king was like a big zamindar, and he's getting paid by a bigger king or something, so they call him a Sudra. And they preached to their father, who didn't appreciate it, but other people heard it and they appreciated it. Then they were going around, and this one biggest scholar, Mayavadi, of the whole area, named Ganganarayan, he saw them, and he saw their effulgence and how happy we did. Then when they got close, he recognized who they were. And he couldn't understand what happened, They looked so different, so beautiful, and so effulgent. So he asked them, and then they started preaching to him. And then he went to Narottam and got initiated. That really shocked all the Brahmins. They're very disturbed by that. Just like they were disturbed by Lord Chaitanya preaching only bhakti and only chanting the holy name. You don't have to do all kinds of other yagyas, That's what Krishna says, right? Sarva dharmam parityajya. You don't have to do all these demigod worship and all these different things for every little thing in your life. You just have to chant Hare Krishna. That's the Mahayagya. So the Brahmanas were thinking, we had a good business going, and this is a disturbance, cutting into our business. So they tried to stop him, and they got the Qazi, and so this is Bhagavad-Gita. It's all about bhakti. The Mayavadis are just amazing, We were in Africa at one temple, and the guy who's speaking, he's a so-called the local big scholar from one big Mayavadi. And this is a temple of the Gita ashram where they study Bhagavad-Gita, And they all memorized chapter 12 of all things. And still, we met their new leader, the original guy left his body, and she said, yeah, you can do that, but it's better to, merge or something. Even though they're chanting, they have the deities of Radha and Krishna, and they have other deities around but the main altar, and then they're chanting, they have one woman come in the morning, chant the whole Bhagavad Gita, and many different things. But they still, so he was lecturing, I was there with Konteya Prabhu, and we were also going to have a chance to speak, so he kept saying the Bhagavad Gita is all about Gyan, only Gyan, Gyan. Prabhupada said, it says, Harinama, Hari Kevala, Kaloa Nashteva. It's not karma, not jnana, not, siddhis. It's bhakti. Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Nothing else. So, and this went on. And so when he became, then they were really disturbed, and gradually many others. He was initiating, and they complained to the king that, this Sudra is initiating Brahmanas, it's really ruining the Varnashram, so many things. Because they don't know Varnashram is meant for Krishna. It's meant that everybody's working according to their nature, but everything's being directed towards Krishna. Otherwise, just working according to nature for your own sense gratification is not, going to perfect your life. Krishna says we can perfect our life by doing our work nicely, but not by just doing it for yourself. Everything has to be done for Krishna. So this is, I don't know offhand all the verses where Krishna says this. We know a few, but again and again and again, you can come to me, you can know me, you can, be with me, you can attain my abode. So many things, so many places everybody must know if you read Bhagavad-Gita, right? It's always there, bhakti, but in the beginning it seems like other things are more maybe more important if you don't read the whole Bhagavad-Gita. And then they won't understand unless a devotee reveals it. You can only understand Krishna when it's, by the mercy of devotees. We already have that understanding, in the heart, but only a devotee can wake us up so we can see properly. Otherwise, so many people reading Bhagavad-Gita, they know it by heart, and they don't, like Gandhi, he was teaching Bhagavad-Gita, he was holding it up and swearing by it. We even put his quote on the back, how much he loved it. But Prabhupada said, Gandhi said, I don't believe there ever was such a person, Krishna. And, Kurukshetra means the body, and the Pandavas are the five senses, and, everything is symbolic. Nothing is, in other words, Krishna just says all these things, he makes beautiful poetry, and it's very nice to read, but he doesn't mean what he says, even though they translate it properly. Their commentaries are completely crazy. One devotee in Israel, he got his master's degree on Bhagavad-Gita, and so he wrote Bhagavad-Gita, with short commentary how to get into it, mainly meant for scholars. That was his master's thesis. So he said, he had to read a lot of different versions. As a scholar, you have to do that. And he had many, and I looked at one. They were so crazy. And the guy, he examined the Sanskrit, and his conclusion was 3 different people spoke the Bhagavad-Gita, because there's different kinds of grammar and different kinds of whatever by Sanskrit scholarship. So they're just crazy, and they go on and on and on trying to, screw out some so-called new meaning, but it's all the same thing, and they can speak very nicely, much better than any of us. Very beautiful, right? Beautiful voice and tone and, nice words that just confuse everybody. There's one of the big Mayavadis, I don't know if he's still alive, he said, I make a feast that no one can digest. So what's the use of that, Because his words are so confusing that, and the followers think, wow, I can't understand it. He must be great. He must be speaking such wonderful things, because no one can understand it. But, if it was really wonderful, then anyone, like Prabhupada, anyone can understand it. And, young children read Bhagavad Gita sometimes and on their own and start chanting or, start offering to Krishna, give up sinful activities. It can be understood by anybody. And big professors, they also read it and think it's great, because it's Krishna and he just appears, for everyone. And so we get people saying, I don't understand it, I tried to read it. And if we usually ask them, well, what exactly don't you understand? It's very easy to get them past that block, because they're trying to understand it in some way it's not meant for. The way they understand other academic books or mathematics books or something. So that's why they can't understand it, because they're not, nobody's told them exactly. So Prabhupada, he made a lot of work to make all these Bhaktivedanta purports and to reveal it, as it is. That's what he named it. There's no other Bhagavad Gita called As It Is. As It Isn't many. But they don't say as it isn't, but there's many interpretations in all different languages. So, but many people like Radhakunda Mataji, she sold a Bhagavad-Gita to one older gentleman one time out here in front of the temple. And he came back and he told her, I've been teaching Bhagavad-Gita for 50 years. He said, but I never understood it until I read this. He was so thankful. So that's Prabhupada, he's giving the same as Lord Chaitanya. He's freely distributing the Krishna prema. What is the real goal, and it's all very clear. Vedaisya sarva mahame vidya vedanta vedakrit eva chaham. All the Vedas are created by me. I'm the goal of all the Vedas. And Bhagavad Gita is like the essence of the Vedas. So he's, Krishna is just trying to help everybody, trying to give us. And what the devotees do, they satatam kirtayantam mam, they're always chanting my glories. Whether they're chanting the holy name, kirtan, or they're talking about Krishna, or they're, distributing books about Krishna, or they're making paintings of Krishna, or they're building temples, all for Krishna. One boy came after the morning class and he said, I have so many goals and I feel them, but I'm never satisfied. We should understand that's the nature of material things. They never satisfy. A devotee is satisfied with whatever comes automatically. Yajrischa labhasantushto. But otherwise, and then we become greedy for devotional service, for more service, more Krishna. That's all right. But if people, materialists, whatever they get, they just want more, isn't it? You're never satisfied, maybe for a little while, okay, now I got this promotion, but then you want another one, because once you get more money and can buy more things, then you have the vision to see more things that are more expensive, isn't it? Oh, now I can get this one, now I can get that one. Maybe, later I just got a new Mercedes, but maybe someday I can have a Ferrari or something, But the people, if you talk to the people that have these things, it doesn't make them happy. They have to do something else. Prabhupada said like that. And then there was a woman in America, she did some kind of survey and of people according to different income and how much more they thought they needed to be satisfied. So she started out in America with like $25,000 income or something. That's considered poverty there for a family. And it is poverty, if you have to go to the doctor or something. And they all said, well, if I had like 35,000, I have no problem. Everything would be fine. Then she talked to people who had 50, but they thought they needed 100. And then people have 100, think they need 500,000. People have 500,000 want more millions. And she said, only one thing was consistent, two things. Everybody thought they didn't have enough, and everybody, the more they had, the bigger the jump they wanted. So we should be like that for Krishna. We should be thinking, I have to serve more. I have to somehow surrender more. I have to give my life to Krishna, not just some flowers or, some mantras, but really give my life, everything to Krishna. So, we're being taught how to offer everything to Krishna. Offer all the food to Krishna. Offer your life, offer the fruits of your labor. Then you'll be satisfied with whatever you get as fruits. If you're actually doing it for Krishna, you can be working in any kind of job, but no, I'm working for Krishna, and whatever we have doesn't have to be big. Krishna doesn't need anything, so he's more impressed with the poor person who gives everything than a rich person who gives a big money. like these rich people, they give some charity, a few $1,000,000 or something, and everybody thinks, oh, because for us that's like huge, but for them it's nothing. It's just a tax, they want tax deductions. They gain by it because they can have a reputation of being charitable, and then more people will support them and glorify them, and so. But Krishna is happy with, he sees what we keep. He knows what we're not giving him. So it's not the material things we give him. We don't just give everything and live on the street or something. Just give your house and give everything, and you have to use it for Krishna. That's bhakti. That's the yukta vairagya. Whatever you have, you use it, big or small. You just try to use it for Krishna. Offer everything to Krishna. Offer yourself to Krishna. Please accept me. Please accept my service. That's our mantra, right? Isn't it? Please engage me in your service. Very simple translation Prabhupada gave, but that's the final goal of it, You can think many other things, but, many different explanations given by acharyas, but the conclusion is we want more service. We want to do service. We want to really do it for Krishna, chant for Krishna, So Prabhupada gave us that chance, and only by getting a proper guru we can really connect to Krishna, and then following that guru's instructions. Prabhupada said that over and over again also. You just do what I tell you. Sometimes we see in ISKCON we've had so many problems in the past, right? We still have many, but some were very, very serious. And if you examine any of them, you'll see it's because we didn't follow Prabhupada's instructions, right? Like the Gurukul, he said if a boy is too naughty, send him home. Don't try to beat him into submission. If the parents don't pay, send him home. But they didn't do that. They thought, poor guy, he'll go home, but the home is a big mess. So, but many, many things like that. Prabhupada told us what to do exactly, and it's all the instructions are still there. He wrote, I told you everything already, but you have to do it. Then everything will work, everything. So the more we just do whatever Prabhupada told us and the way he told us, then everything goes well. So that means, the main thing is hearing and chanting, reading his books, and preaching, somehow distributing Krishna consciousness in some way. And then the basic sadhana, but that's also a sadhana. You have to really control the mind to preach. You have to really focus, right? That Atma-nivedana is explained, that's preaching. All your senses have to, you can't be preaching to someone or trying to sell a book and spacing out, They'll just walk away. Any book distributor experiences that. We learn a lot quickly that, you can be talking to someone and really concentrating and then, thinking of them, and all of a sudden you think, oh, I'm doing really good. This person's going to give big, and they just say, I don't need it. Even though they were ready practically to take it. So that's with any kind of, and if we're chanting the same way, if we don't concentrate, then where is Krishna? See? If we're doing deity worship, to think about Krishna, and doing it for Krishna. It is Krishna. The Bhagavad-Gita is Krishna. Everything is Krishna. All these activities. There's no difference between Krishna and the Bhagavad-Gita. If we're hearing it like that, understanding, here's Krishna talking to me. He's talking to everybody, but also everybody will get from it what they want, what they need. And when we read it over and over again, we keep finding, oh yeah, I never heard that before. There's always new stuff coming out, because that's Krishna, ever fresh. So If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead. Yes, sir. Who was first? Huh? Who was first, Jim? Go ahead. Well, the microphone's next to you. You should. Okay. He's always the first one. Quick.
Just like outside, they read Bhagavad-Gita and they concentrate on more on this 12th chapter. They always say that the 12th chapter, they read 12th chapter in about the Karma Yoga, and this one they want to know more and more that how Lord is in everyone's heart. They think that Lord is in everyone's heart, so Lord is in our heart. They think in that manner. Some of them I met and they say that in the 12th chapter we see.
Huh?
And the 12th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita.
Yeah.
They say that the Lord is in everyone's heart, and just like a devotional service, how we can do the devotional service, because every Lord is in everyone. So how we should see that Lord is in everyone.
Well, Krishna is in everyone's heart, but we see that most of them are separated from Krishna. He's there, trying to help them, and so if they get special mercy, he'll direct them to meet a devotee. And if devotees are looking for them, then of course that's more likely to happen. So devotees go out. It's like fishing, you have to be very patient, and sometimes you get a hook and somebody's pulling on it, but then they get away, or it's too small or something. So the same thing, but someone asked Prabhupada, how can we see Krishna in everyone's heart? He said, just keep reading Bhagavad-Gita. That's that the Mayavadis think, well, God is all pervasive, so therefore he can't be a person. He has to be something else, some kind of inconceivable, unknowable thing. Nothing else can be everywhere at the same time. So they don't understand the inconceivable potencies of Krishna. It is inconceivable, but it's something that we can see. It's the energy of Krishna is everywhere. So if you do yoga, you can understand the super soul in the proper yoga meditations and everything. You can at least, but when you do bhakti, then we can know Bhagavan, because he's known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Paramatma is the only place Krishna is. Like Mayavadis will say, God is everywhere, so you don't need to go to the temple. And you don't need to chant his names, because everything is his name. Right? Krishna says that. But then why is he not in the temple? Right? If he's everywhere, he's also in the temple, but in a different way. In a way that we can serve him directly. So that's special mercy. The deity worship. He's in he's in his name. He gives us specific names, which are, the way to approach him also. Any name of God is good. Prabhupada stressed on that. If you're attached to some other name of God, go ahead, chant that, but chant something, If you don't want to chant Hare Krishna, but if you don't know anything, chant Hare Krishna, take a chance. Or, like all these people Narottam preached to, they were never chanting Krishna, they're worshipping Shiva, and there are all kinds of things. But as soon as they met devotees and heard from them, they were fascinated, right? And they surrendered and became big preachers of bhakti. Sarvabhauma became a big preacher of bhakti. Shocked everyone. The whole city, the whole world practically, because he was famous. So, Prabhu? No.
Just like devotees, sometimes we give Bhagavad-Gita to politicians or to Bollywood actors. So some devotees say there is no use of giving them. They are not reading, they have never become devotees. So how we can convince them?
Well, it's worthwhile because it pleases Prabhupada, pleases the Acharyas, pleases Krishna that you give books to anybody, because Krishna's in their heart. And and not that everybody, they're all going to shave up and join the temple or something, or start, be like George Harrison and just start singing about Krishna all the time. But they get benefit. They get a start. They heard about Krishna, they met a devotee, they had an intimate exchange with the devotee many times, right? And they appreciate, you give them something. And it also helps other people to take it when they hear about it, many different ways. But everybody benefits, but the person who gives it benefits no matter what, as long as somebody takes it willingly. All right?
Maharaj, 4 things, how to get rid of them: lust, greed, hankering, and lamentation.
Well, that's in the purport here a few times, right? In the Bhagavatam in the second chapter, where it says like that when one takes to bhakti, then automatically all these things go away. But to completely go away, it takes time, right? Because we're very contaminated, and we came to this world to try to enjoy. But if you just look at the difference from before you started being a devotee and now, you'll see that it's, big difference, right? So, but if we use it for Krishna, we become lusty to do more service, we become greedy for more service, we're lusty to hear about Krishna, and hankering, then read the prayers of Bhakti-Vinod Thakur. Narottam, they're always hankering, right? But what are they hankering for? They're always lamenting, isn't it? What are they lamenting? Huh? I never served Krishna, I'm a fool, I've wasted my life, they're crying like that, but they're begging Krishna, they want to serve Krishna. They're hankering, when will that day be mine? Kabe habe bolo sedi namar, aparada gucci, shudanami ruchi, kripa bolo habe, ridoye sanchar, right? When, kabe means when will it happen? When will I chant the holy name without offense? But he says, aparadi gucci, shudanami ruchi, that as the offenses are decreasing, then the taste for the name increases. The more we get a taste for the name, we want more of that. It's like prasadam, usually we start with that, but even if you're greedy for prasadam and you're overeating, there's still spiritual benefit, but then you have to deal with the physical results. But, because you can't just eat all day, but you can chant all day, you can read for a long time. You can't get too much of reading the Bhagavad-Gita. The more you read it, the more you want to read it again. Isn't it? That's the nature of the Bhagavad-Gita. Other books, hard to finish even one book. Usually people read, just to pass the time or something, They're all the same also. But they always think it's a new novel, a new adventure, a new, murder story or something. But no, they're all the same. And the new science, it's all the same old stuff. Is that all right? So just hang in there. Don't try to cultivate those things, but direct it towards Krishna. Narottam says like that, I'll use my lust in this way, I'll use my anger in this way. Okay? Anyone else? No? The ordinary time is up, right? But I came in a few days ago at 6:45 and Rohini Sutta was still going. Only 3 or 4 people there. He can answer a question like 15 or 20 minutes for any simple question. So, all right. So thank you very much. Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanadi Hari Hari Bol.